Please tell me how you came to Ashland.
I came to Ashland. I was working at the University of Arkansas and worked for housing department there for the Razorbacks. And I received a call from Rodney Bardwell at Macon telling me that there was a position with student activities. So I ended up applying and got the position. And then I moved from Arkansas out here. Been here since. And I worked with student activities my first year, and then the second year there became a vacancy in the residence life office, and so I switched over to this department.
What were your first impressions of Ashland?
It was very cute. It was a very cute town. I grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so more like suburbs, and you've got the two big cities. Well, actually, some of my first impressions, the train I wasn't used to. And so, like, moving into a new place, and, like, I have latches instead of doorknobs, so they were always clanking. But and now I'm very used to it, but at first I wasn't. But I just thought it was so pretty of a town. Like, just my neighbors were very nice. I've gotten to know a lot of them. And just walking along the tracks, like, when I first moved here, I just wanted to, like, walk around because it was so, like, simple and laid back. But just a really like tight community.
What neighborhood did you move in?
Right behind the railroad tracks. So I'm right off Henry Clay. So I live next to the Martins and some other great families that are right down there. So,
who do you think are Ashland's most colorful characters so far?
Oh man, I think that for me, I always think that some of the students are some of the most interesting characters. But I've been very lucky just in meeting my neighbors. They're all just so nice, and so many of them have been here for a long time, and their family is also from here. I've also gotten involved in the Ashland JCs, which do community service. So I've gotten to meet a lot of the people who've really just grown up around here. So for me, like, not being from here, it's been really nice. But I think some of the students are some of the more interesting characters.
Do you have any special stories to share about the students?
Gosh, so many. I mean, I've just been really proud of the work that I've gotten to do with a lot of the students. I think one of the things I'm most proud about is the Habitat group. Because like I supervise the RAs and I'm incredibly proud of them. Just watching them take that position and just see them take like the seriousness of it and like the things that they handle and work with, nobody ever appreciates and nobody ever sees. But like it's amazing because I get to see sometimes the students who, I guess, things work out for better because of like the RAs and like and even working with the orientation leaders, it's amazing because when the incoming students come and they're nervous and upset and isolated or just they're dealing with like a million things that they don't know how to handle, just watching the OLs work with them is also incredible. But the Habitat chapter, I mean, we've done builds here, and when in Hanover there's not builds happening, we've gone down to the Home Depot and taken classes. And I've been on 3 alternative spring break trips. So I've just been impressed how students have given up their spring break and have chosen to go build somewhere. We went to New Orleans this year, and it was probably one of the most like emotional and just amazing, unspeakable things I've ever done from working at 3 different institutions. Like seriously, the students were just, it was a humbling experience to be there and to build and to see all the devastation and to learn so much about it. And then at the same time, you see like all this hope and all the good that could be. And then, I've done this for 3 years, and like I went to Georgia the first year, and that was just amazing. Last year we stayed here in Hanover, which was wonderful because we built a lot of good partnerships that this year have continued in working with the Habitat organization. But just watching the students who get involved with that and looking at them and the decisions that they're making and how it changes like who they are as people, like that's probably my favorite, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know, because you can see it in somebody when like they're part of something that's like bigger than who they are, and when they care about something more than just showing up, going out, the traditional things that happen in school. So
How do you feel about student involvement in the community here?
I think it's very important. When I came here my first year, I wanted to do Making a Difference Day and just really get students involved in the community endeavors. And so I talked with the chaplain, because he works with volunteer services, and he was all excited. And so then we met up with Reber and Finster with environment and, it being Earth Day. And so we came up with a lot of projects that were volunteer-based and also like Earth, and environment-based. And we've done it now 3 years. And for me, it's been exciting just because there's so many different projects. And this year, working with the town was amazing. The town came up with all these outstanding projects, and like we've got more students involved. And then on top of that, the Greek leaders did the Relay for Life. So I mean, from the storm drains to cleaning up stuff, like it's not always fun stuff, but I think it's critical because the students are a part of the community, both the good and the bad. And so, because there's good and bads to a small community in a college town. But at the same time, I think having the students be out there and being involved is so important. And I see it from going to church with my students that are there, and then the different, religious organizations that are involved in the churches. And then a lot of the groups do community service one way or another. So I really think it's important that they're part of the town as well.
What church do you attend?
St. Anne's, it's the Catholic church. The priest who's there is absolutely hilarious. He's amazing. Just because he's, this is horrible, but he's amazing. And if you could go, he's really funny because he'll sit there and, I've gone to Catholic church my whole life. And he's the first to like call out Catholics, like, who can tell me in the Bible where it says X, Y, and Z? And then he'll be like, I'll throw in a free donut. And then he'll call on one member of the church, because that member of the church always knows the answer. And then he'll like look at the rest of the church and say, he won't always be here. And but sometimes I'm also funny about the sense that if I wake up and I miss the 10:15 service, then I can go up to First Baptist or one of the other churches, just because I enjoy going to the different ones. But
has the church held any interesting events lately?
Not that I've been to. I just enjoy the church service. I've been to some of the pancake things, and they've done like some casino things and some other things. But
how would you characterize student life at Randolph-Macon?
I would characterize it as a lot of amazing potential. I've not been here very long, so I don't have like the whole scope of everybody else. But at the same time, I don't think that's a bad thing because I don't get stuck in we've already done it this way before. And just from what I've seen in the areas that I've specifically worked on, you just saw Pearson sitting in here, and we were working on RA training. And when I first came into the position, not that the people who had done it before didn't do a good job, but we took something and just really started building and really evaluating and really reassessing and then really empowering. And so when I look at the overall student body and involvement, I see a lot of that just all across the board recently, just people getting more empowered. I work with Marianne Dalavali. She's a student leader here. And she started the Make a Noise Spirit organization because she saw a real need for students getting involved and having school spirit. And so this year we've done a lot of organizing and getting it together, and we got little spirit yellow jacket tattoos and face paint. That way when football season starts at the football games, we'll have a little tackle box where you can get a tattoo. We're trying, it's baby steps, getting a student section for football games and things like that, which is to me interesting because when I first came here and I started asking people about history and traditions, I didn't hear a lot from the students. And so we started researching stuff, and Scanlon, obviously had a lot of information, as well as Judy Showalter over at the library. So I got a lot of information from them, and then we started using it in orientation and with the RAs and just in different ways. So then it's kind of neat to see that starting, and then from that, now you've got a group that wants to do more. And so yeah, I think the potential here is amazing because students here, they have resources. You've got a lot of professionals here at the institution, both staff and faculty, who really want to see people succeed. I think, again, the issue is you've just got to keep people committed to being involved in positive development opportunities. So,
Have there been any concerns about student life here?
I think for me, the real concern is just alcohol use, and I think a lot of that goes to confidence, and I think a lot of that also goes to the culture. I think it takes 4 years to change a culture, because in 4 years they're all gone, and if you start with one class and you really try to work with them, I think you can change things. I also think that by working more with upperclassmen here, we could change the culture better, because when you come into something, you model the behaviors of those around you who have already kind of set the precedents. So I think that for me, that's the major thing. I know that we deal with apathy, and I know we deal with people saying that there's not enough activities, but then at the same time, I'm amazed by how many people put on activities and nobody comes. So is it really that there's no activities, or is it really that it's easier to complain about there being no activities, or is it easier that you just don't know what's happening? And so I don't know which of those answers it is, but for me, being here, and I think being at a smaller institution, you can see the effects of alcohol easier than you can at perhaps large institutions.
Are there any town complaints or concerns about alcoholism of the students?
Not that I've really heard. I mean, Macon really does stay here, with the exception of, I guess, Thursday nights at break time, or LS Teka. But, but I think our students really stay here on campus for entertainment. And, I mean, the good part is they're not all driving. I mean, so, not that I've really heard, so.
What are your favorite aspects of your career here?
It's fun. You can laugh at me, but I actually love what I do. And I love, watching it when a student gets something, or when a student comes up with something, or thinks of something, or you can see them actually, developing and changing. It's weird, because this class that just graduated this past May, those were a lot of the first student leaders I worked with when I was here, so I've had 3 years. Some of the students out of those 3 years, 2 of the young women who graduated, I met with every week for the past 2 years for at least an hour, because I supervised them. And it's amazing to think about when I first knew them the first year, then I've just had 2 years, intense meetings with them, and just seeing them now in their careers, just how much development's happened. And so, this class that'll be seniors next year, that's really the first class that when they showed up and I was here. And so, and just looking at all of them, I think in college is the one time in your life where I really believe you change the most. You're out of, your parents' involvement, you're figuring out who you want to be, you're learning more, you're exposed to all these different cultures and backgrounds that wherever you were raised at, that obviously wasn't there. So for me, it's just all those aha moments. That's just priceless. I get to be a part of people's lives, and it's kind of cool. So yeah, it's kind of neat.
What do you think the future holds for the college?
I'm excited that they're looking at a lot more strategic planning. I'm also happy that they're looking at more best practices. They're looking at more professional development. They're looking at building renovations. They're looking at the allocation of resources, not just in the classroom, but also the co-curricular life. So those are things that I think is just outstanding and amazing, and that really needs to happen. They've also got a really good base of alumni here, so I think that getting the alumni more involved in the community, but then at the same time always looking forward. You can't just stay where Macon's been. You've got to keep going. So I think that for me, there's so many possibilities. It's incredible, because it's such a nice it's such a nice campus. You've got faculty and staff who really actually care. When they say students aren't just numbers, I really think that if a faculty or staff member can do something to fix it or to make it, they really do try. And From coming from two larger institutions, I would like to say that that's the same case. However, sometimes it's not so much. So I just think there's a lot of possibility here. And so I hope it doesn't grow like to be huge, because I really enjoy the small college feel. But I know that like growth in different aspects is very important, not just necessarily like number of students.
How does it feel to live and work in the center of the universe?
I love it. I walk to work every day, and it's a pretty center of the universe, and it's safe. Like, I feel safe whenever I'm here, and I like the fact that when I'm on campus or in town, I always recognize somebody, and there's always somebody to say hi to, because that doesn't happen in other places. So it's actually a good place to be.
Have you attended any events here, such as the parades or the Strawberry Fair?
Yep, I've attended the Strawberry Fairs, attended some of the parades. I really enjoy the Strawberry Fair, because even though like this year was so hot, it was just so neat to see all the families and all the people come out, and like, I don't know, it's that small town feel. And I don't know, with as busy as life gets nowadays, I think it's nice that you can just sit back and enjoy. Like my neighbors that are like kind of like diagonal from me, like they like just sitting out on their porch and like watching the lightning bugs, and I just think that's awesome. And I don't know, so I have enjoyed some of the activities, and yeah.
What about the businesses here? Have you had any interesting experiences with them?
Yeah, I mean, I love going to eat here, whether it be Homemades or Sandano's or Virginia Barbecue, like, or Anthony's, my favorite pizza. But I definitely like eating and going to the local businesses. The hardware store, I'm up there for all different projects I work on, and they're always wonderful, because like they recognize me and they know what project I just finished, and then they ask me, what are you doing now? And so again, I think it just goes back to that small town. People care, people know who you are. You just really have to enjoy that, I think.
Have you heard any interesting stories about the town or the college while here?
Interesting stories. Well, I mean, you always hear random stories about the college and the ghosts, apparently, and I think Scanlon probably has more information on that. So that was always interesting, because, I mean, I work in Mary Branch, and everybody says that this place is haunted. But I've been up here till 2 a.m. and not had any issues, and, I mean, so I don't really know what I think about it. But as far as interesting town stories, I mean... I can't really think of one in particular. Sometimes I've got people out there playing bagpipes close to where I live, or I typically, like when you meet somebody, they know somebody who lives on your street who also, this person lives further down. Like, I mean, so it's, again, just always interesting how, like, connected I think Ashland is. I think that's, like, for me, the interesting part. Yeah.
You mentioned the JCs. What organizations have you been a member of?
It's the junior chamber. It's the Ashland JCs. So I've been involved with that. When I first moved here, I actually had joined the Weston chapter, and then I found out about the Ashland chapter. So then I switched over because I wanted to, like, be involved, locally. And then I had also been a member of out in Mechanicsville, the Catholic Daughters of America, which is again a community service group that's over with that Catholic church. So even though I went here, I was part of there. So kind of weird. But those are the groups that I've been involved with. I've also been involved with like VACUHO and like VASPA, which are like professional student affairs housing organizations. Our office goes to those conferences each year since I've been here, which has been wonderful because I've gotten to meet a lot of professionals from other colleges, which is really nice when I'm working on something and you want like somebody else's perspective, or just a good way to like touch base, talk about issues and concerns, and get the viewpoint from somebody who's not in the trenches with you. So,
what do you think are the most important qualities of the college to prospective students?
Well, I always hear that students think it's pretty when they come here. It's a very pretty campus. We've got a lot of nice plants, and I do believe that's true. It's very clean. I also think because of the small town feel, a lot of students really feel safe. They also feel like, that if they need their advisors or, professors, that they can call them, that they're always available. So I think that's really important to prospective students, again, that faculty interaction, and I think the staff interaction as well. The fact that there's so many different staff members who are always around. When I'm in SDs at night eating dinner sometimes, there's several staff members there. When I'm, at these programs that students put on, there's always several staff members there. So again, I think it's just that the people, there's always faculty, staff, it's safe, it's a nice place. And I think overall there's a lot of opportunities for students and in organizations to lead, to work with other students, to learn what they're learning in the classrooms and actually apply it to their student organizations. The study abroad experiences here, I wish I went here. I love to travel. So the J-term courses are, I just think, phenomenal. As well as the surf research, sitting in the surf luncheons and when you hear people talk about the research, it's amazing. It really, really is remarkable, the emphasis the college puts on those programs. So,
how do you feel about Ashland about to turn 150?
I think that's amazing. It really is. Because, all along the railroad tracks, towns go up, and for this one to be thriving and, still here and still important, I just think that's amazing. There's been a lot of families that have been here a lot of years, and so, and even when you look at the Macon history, you find out about different people who've come up and down the railroad tracks, like presidents and things like that, and their involvement with Macon and the town being here, and I don't know. I think it's amazing that it's been 150 and that it's still growing and it's still changing, but at the same time there's a lot of things that are still its core, the little right. The street parties, the socials, the different things like that. So I think it's good to change and to always move forward, but at the same time it's nice that there's a piece of history and tradition still left around.
Are you working on anything for the 150? Do you know of any of the college's activities or programs planned?
Yeah, I'll be doing some stuff with the JCs. We're looking at kind of doing a little Monopoly board game that's like Ashlandopoly. So I am working on that. We're trying to get businesses and different things that are kind of landmarks to be a part of that. So yeah, working with that. And I'll of course be at the celebration. So it's in October, yeah. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to it.
You mentioned the train several times. How does it feel to live in a railroad town?
I actually like it. Again, like I told you, when I first moved here, I wasn't sure what I thought because I was I just moved in, boxes everywhere, and for that first week, just laying there and hearing all the latches shake, I was I'm never going to be used to this. And I am so used to it now, I don't even think twice. I don't know, I think it's kind of endearing. It's also neat watching the train stop and the people get off and come to work and eat. I think it's kind of neat. I always look at train rides and stuff. I think it's neat that the students can take the train back home and here. I don't know, I think it kind of makes Ashland a little bit. So,
do you use the train services?
I have not yet. I am planning a trip to New York, so I will be utilizing services. But yeah.
Have you heard any stories of interesting people stepping off the train at the station?
I actually have not, but I would like to. If you have some.
Do you know anybody that works for the train? By chance?
I do not. I do not.
What do you think makes Ashland so special?
I really think it's that small town feel. I've been invited to several block parties with my neighborhood, which is kind of cute, and they all know who I am, which is again kind of neat. That because when you move somewhere and you don't know people, so again, it's just that small town feel. The people are friendly, the people care. I don't know, you've really got to like that. It feels like a safe and welcoming environment. And nowadays you don't always get that, so.
Well, that's all my questions. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Nope. Thanks.
Thank you.